Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters, expressing our gratitude to God and Meishu-sama for blessings and protection received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer, please stand. Taka amaharani kamsumarimasu Kamurogi kamuro mino mikoto mochite Sumemi oya kamu izanagi no mikoto Tsukushi no ribuka no tachi hana no Hodo no awagi harani Misogi harai tano utoki ni narimaseru Harai dono o kami tachi moro moro no magagoto tsuni gegare yo Harai tamae kiyome tamae tomaosu koto no yoshi o Amatsu kami kunitsu kami yao yorozu no kami gachi tomo ni ame no fuchi koma no mi furitadete kikoshi mese to kashikomi mo maosu Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Hoshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Kum nagara damachi haemase Kum nagara damachi haemase Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan, and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your grace. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei. Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. Self-reflection. How precarious is the future of those who, out of their selfishness, sow the seeds of their own misfortune. May each one of us return to a pure state by illuminating the soul with God's divine light. Instead of wasting time criticizing and accusing others, let us first reflect on ourselves, correcting all our shortcomings. In essence, the important thing is to find the best way in accord with the time, place, and circumstances. In order to do this, however, wisdom is needed. Wisdom is the ability to make right judgments. And the less clouded the spiritual being is, the more it is endowed with wisdom. Therefore, we should endeavor to remove clouds on the spiritual body as much as we can. What makes this possible is Makoto, the love, integrity, and dedication that come from true faith in God. If there is anyone who is deviating from the right path or is truly bad, God will inevitably pass judgment on that person. So this shouldn't be your concern. If a human being worries about the present situation or fear for the future, it surely indicates a lack of belief in God's infinite power. What I recommend, therefore, is that you examine your inner attitude before you criticize others.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters. This evening, I would like to share with you the faith experience of a Lusitano Chalet. He's from the Kanata Johrei Center in Lobito, Angola. Lusitano is 50 years old. He's not a member yet. However, he gives service assisting missionaries of his Johrei Center. He had a disease. He had been suffering from skin irritation for 10 years, and he couldn't stop scratching himself because the disease gave him a lot of itchiness, filling his body with pimples. The situation generated many conflicts in his job, and several times he ran the risk of being laid off because his co-workers couldn't stand to see him scratch all the time. Frustrated, he started using alcoholic beverages to forget about the hell he was going through. He also experienced many family conflicts due to the inheritance his father left for him and his younger sister. As Lusitano's mother had another relationship, all the goods and money that his father left, she gave to Lusitano's stepsister instead, and would not accept to give him anything, even being his father's biological and eldest son. As he was not well paid in his job, he fought for his inheritance, and this generated a lot of conflicts with his mother and sister. Returning to the subject of his disease, as he couldn't stand the itching any longer, as if they were animals walking around his body, he looked for several hospital treatments. He took several medications, spending a lot of money, but his problem only got increasingly worse. Several times he thought about looking for traditional folk treatments, like the Kimbanda houses, but the fear of receiving something that would later turn against him spoke loud. He had already experienced situations where friends end up very badly after receiving these folk treatments. That's how he completely gave up on such an idea. Tired of so much suffering and contempt on the part of others, especially in his workplace, he decided to walk through a different street that was not part of his routine. Coincidentally, he found himself in front of our church, where a member called Maria Giovatti was making her way to the door of the church. Upon entering the center in a conversation with a missionary there, he was guided to try our basic practices of faith, which he carried out without difficulties. By daily receiving Johrei and other altruistic practices, the pimples on his body dried up completely. Today he no longer knows what it's like to scratch oneself, as he can sleep peacefully, something that was impossible before, something that took 10 long years of suffering. He quit drinking alcohol completely because he no longer feels any need for it. As before, he only drank to forget about his torments. With this miracle, his wife and children decided to visit the church with him, which made his happiness complete. To express his gratitude, he prepared a special Hikari donation in order to become a member. Another faith experience that he would like to share with us is related to the practice of giving daily donations and materializing his gratitude by tithing, that is, donating 10% of his monthly earnings. Before he got to know our church, in addition to suffering from illnesses, he also suffered from various financial difficulties. In his workplace, he and his immediate co workers were promoted due to their extensive work experience. As he works in the Maritime Fiscal Police, despite having been promoted due to his illness that caused a lot of itchiness, he was put aside, or rather, he was promoted in theory only because he didn't earn like his other colleagues. After having known our faith, following the guidance he received, and regaining his health, his boss called him to inform that he had risen in rank from captain's assistant to ship's captain and tripled his salary. With this radical change in his life, he looked to talk to his mother and sister to end the dispute over the inheritance. And today, peace and understanding reigns in his family. They both, mother and sister, encouraged him to continue attending and promised that they too will attend our church. With all these changes in experience, he learned that all suffering in life can be solved when we surrender ourselves to God with humility and sincerity. Only God knows right and wrong. We cannot judge others. Lusitano's commitment is to become a Johrei member, to better serve in the divine work, bringing the light of the Messiah Meishu-sama to all those suffering and without hope for life as he was. He's very thankful to God, Meishu-sama, and his ancestors for showing him this path of salvation. Thank you very much for attending this evening service, this faith experience. I wish you a very wonderful evening. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion our evening service. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a blessed evening.